Okay, so we're going to look at using Vasari as a tool to do some basic simulation work at the schematic design or programming level of creating a building design. So the first thing that we're going to do with Vasari, again, you should notice the interface is very similar to Revit, so not too much should be very foreign to you guys. So we're going to be focusing less on the modeling tools and a bit more on the tools that introduce the concepts of simulation to you at the building programming level. So the first thing that I need to do is add a site. So under the Analyze tab, I'm going to go to Location, and we are going to add a site that you guys all know and love very much, and that is 900 North Benton Avenue, Springfield, Missouri, 65802. I'm going to say OK. Let's try that one more time. 900 North Benton, Springfield Avenue, Springfield, Missouri, 65802. And I'm going to zoom in on the location, and I'm going to change from a terrain map to a satellite so I can see a little bit more detail. And once I get in a little bit closer here, I'm going to go ahead and drag our project location icon right over to the site that I want to study and zoom in. And then I'm going to click Import Site Image. Let's get that image right there into Vasari. So that's not only going to import the image, but it's also going to go ahead and import our locational data, sun, wind, and weather. And what we want to do next is create a really quick massing model of our project so that we have some 3D forms to begin to work with. So I'm going to go to the Model tab, Create Mass, and I'm going to start with a simple box outlining the overall building. So that created our first piece of geometry as an overall box. And what I need to do next is I want to add the two lumps on each end of the building here. So I'm going to go to Edit Profile. That gets me down to the core lines that make up the polygon. And I'm going to add an arc to each edge. So there's an arc, and I am kind of slopping this together, but we're thinking that this is accurate enough. It will be okay. I'm going to add another arc on this edge, and again I'm going to use split and trim to modify the base geometry. And then I'm going to say Finish Edit Mode. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish this mass for right now, and I want to make some basic adjustments to our levels. The default view has 5 levels. I actually only want to use 3 in this project, so I'm going to delete levels 5, level 4, and I'm going to take level 2, if I can select it, level 2, and I'm kind of guessing at the height, but I'm guessing it's about 16 feet to level 2. I'm going to guess to our roof, it's about another 16 feet, and I'm going to rename level 3 roof so that I can identify that later if I need to. So I have level 1 on the ground plane, level 2, and roof. I'm not going to worry about the basement on the project right now. I just want to kind of keep things simple and keep things conceptual for this time. I'm not going to worry about the auditorium really either. Again, we're just looking conceptually right now, thinking of this as an early design phase for this project. So what I want to do next is actually select this, and let's add some volume to this geometry. So I'm going to click Edit in Place. I'm going to select it. I'm going to start pulling the form up. But what I need to do next is I want to align this top piece of geometry with my roof plane. So I'm going to click Align, Roof, and then the top piece of geometry on my massing model. And then I'm going to go ahead and say Finish Mass. So at this time I have the basic form of the building. in place. And what I want to do next is just start looking with even a form this simple, how we can begin doing some basic simulation work. So one of the first things that Vasari allows us to do is a solar radiation study, and this is going to give us BTUs per square foot on our surfaces at a specific time of day. And so there are a variety of specific times that you'll want to study. To begin with, I'm just going to select a date that I know is particularly toasty, usually in Springfield, Missouri, and that will be a random date in August. So I'm going to turn on the Ecotech solar radiation. Again, this is really, really similar to the sun interface that you'll find in Revit. So this should be a process you're somewhat familiar with. I'm going to click our three little dots here, and I'm going to build a new date and time. So I'm just going to duplicate the spring equinox right now, and I'm going to call it August 21st, 2011. So my location is already set based on my project. I'm going to change my date to August 21st, 2011, and I'm going to set my time for 3 p.m. If you've ever been in the West Studio, you know that 3 p.m. is a great time to be in the West Studio in our building. So I'm going to click OK, and at this time I'm ready to go ahead and actually render or run a simulation of the sun impact on the surfaces of my geometry on August 21st of 2011. So I'm going to click Analyze, and I want to go ahead and use Analyze all mass faces in view. If you don't have anything selected, it gives you the opportunity to just say yes, analyze everything. It's going to take just a few seconds to run the simulation, and then we get our results. So we can see the west side obviously has pretty much nothing going on in terms of BTU. The west side, or the east side rather, has very little going on. The west side, however, at 3 o'clock, August 21st, is beginning to bake, as well as the roof. So what I want to do now is I'm going to go ahead and position this icon that gives me my data in terms of BTU per square foot closer to that so I can select a specific view. So I'm just going to click and drag it closer. I'm going to check for my top view and move that icon over, and then I'm going to switch to a side view. It's my west elevation, and same trick. I'm going to go ahead and move that down. This way I can sort of set up a specific view that has both my building and my output data in the same view. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say output. I want to go ahead and save this rendering to my project, and solar radiation study August 21st as a title, and you'll see it adds that view into your project view list. And I'm going to go ahead and say close. Then I'm going to double click on that view, and to get this out of Vasari I'm going to go to the big V, export images and animation, image. You might not see masses when printing, yada yada yada, that's fine. I'm going to hit close, and this is basically an image output dialog box. I want 100% of my actual image in a JPEG view at, let's go ahead and do 150 dpi. I'm going to save the location right now just so I can retrieve it quickly to my desktop, and I'm going to call this August 21 solar study. Save, OK. And when I go to my desktop, I should be able to retrieve August 21 solar study.